still learning how to stop apologizing for my wild. Welcome, wanderer of thought, to the garden of the mind, where dreams take root and seeds of awakening are sown. Here, we talk about everything from spiritual awakening, energy, astral travel, all the way to the collective energy, parenting starseeds, psychic gifts, addiction, and the human experience. What it means to truly ascend, from the magic to the mess, and how we are all navigating and alchemizing our way through it. A place where we have the space to remember who we truly are. I'm your host, Mandy Hayes. Welcome to Brain Flowerz. Let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of Brain Flowerz, my friends. Here today we're going to have a spooktacular episode where me and Rodney Robertson are talking about our personal ghost experiences, spooky experiences in general, stories, just talking about spooky shit because it's almost Halloween, one of the best holidays of the year besides Christmas and Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. So sit back, relax, have some fun, bring up some popcorn, pull up a seat, and let's get to it.
We're live.
We're live.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
We have decided to come on and talk a little bit about some true life ghost stories.
Yeah.
And share a few things, a few adventures. If the ghosts don't mess with our internet. You want to go first?
Sure. So I was actually thinking when we were coming up with, what are we going to talk about? Well, it's right around Halloween time, right? So I remember when I was pregnant with Christopher, so it was about, I don't know, maybe it was 2009. I don't remember the month, but I feel like it was kind of chilly outside, but it wasn't snowing yet. And at the time, we were staying with Christopher's grandpa Freddie over in Attica. Well, Christopher's dad, his whole family is from that area, and his cousins were about the same age as us, so we would hang out all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we heard about this one road, I think it's by Blood Road in Metamora, and there's this cemetery where if you go drive by it at nighttime, it was said that this car would like chase you down if you're in a car, right?
Yeah.
So of course we were like, oh my God, let's do it.
Gotta get chased by the ghost.
Right. Oh my goodness. So we get there. It's like 11:30 and we pull up in front of the cemetery, and our plan before we got there was, we're going to go walk around the cemetery. Well, as soon as we got there, everyone was like, no, we're not going to do that. So once you go down this road, it's like just as big as just a car. That's it. Like, I don't know why they made it that way, because there's a couple of houses like down towards the end. But besides that, there was no driveways, and it was big enough to fit our car.
Yeah.
And we were in just this little 4-door.
Little one lane.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we decide we're going to leave. And so we didn't know that there were no driveways down this road until you got to like the end. So we start driving down this road. It's nighttime. By this time, it's almost 12 o'clock at night. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe it was summer. Anyways, I guess that doesn't matter. I'm just thinking it felt really creepy. So it's dark out. We decide to go down this road. And I mean, it was close. Like, there were bushes and trees like on the sides of the doors, right? And all of a sudden we see headlights behind us. And we're like, okay, maybe it's someone who lives down this road, right?
Yeah.
And we're driving and they're following us. And I felt like they were going really fast
So we started going faster, and we're trying to find somewhere to turn around, and we cannot. Like, we can't.
Yeah.
So we're going. And then finally, after like what felt like forever, we get down to the end of the road, and there was a little driveway place where you could turn around.
Yeah.
And we go and we turn around, and we're expecting the car to be like right there, and it was gone.
There you go.
It was just gone.
There you go.
And like, oh my God, so we like experienced the thing, right?
Blood Road also has a thing. In that cemetery, you're supposed to be able to see a monk or priest walking around.
Really?
Too. Yeah. Blood Road's got an interesting history. But I got to talk about something. This happened actually to my mom. Mm-hmm. She came from a large family. They had like 13 kids. And they traveled, and they were migrant pickers. You know, they back then, Americans actually did it too. Big families would go around, especially during the Dust Bowl. And they were in Athens, Alabama at their home, and they would have to walk along a river to get to the playground. Well, Grandma would always tell them, get back early, don't be out after dark. Well, one time, your kids, you get to playing the whole bit. They start walking back, and at one point, my Aunt Opal started telling everyone, stay together, don't look back, just let's go, don't stop, let's keep going. And she kept rushing them. And finally, she gets to the house and she makes sure everyone goes in. My grandfather comes out and goes, what's wrong? What's up? And she said, Daddy, when we left the playground, I looked over and there was a woman floating on the water following us the whole way. And that's one of my favorite stories my mom used to tell that happened to her as a kid. That was down in Athens, Alabama.
There is a lot of strange activity down in like the South, and especially around Appalachian Mountains. I've heard.
I think if you look, the Appalachian Mountains, the South, the levels of spirituality, and I don't mean religion, I mean spirituality. You look at you had the white poor, or what they used to call the white trash, the white poor, you had slaves, and they brought so many different levels of spirituality. They didn't call it religion, we did. And I think because of that, there's so much raw energy in those areas, and it found a foothold. You look at New Orleans, but no, New Orleans, you go there. St. Augustine, even as far up as Lilydale, in New York. And I think it's, energy attracts energy.
Yeah. I was I was listening to a podcast, Strange or Mysterious Universe. Love those guys; they're freaking hilarious. And there was a little segment where they were talking about, they were talking about past lives, but they were also talking about how, like, when people go to certain places, like Gettysburg or the Appalachian Mountains or whichever, it's like people experience spooky things associated with large events that happened in that place, because those events like not drew so much energy but created so much energy that's like heavy, that's what you're going to experience when you go there, because it made like an imprint on that place.
Absolutely. And I think too, people very often go there with the expectation of feeling that or stuff. So they open up to it, which adds to that energy.
Right. For sure.
It's like when we do sessions, it's easier to read someone who comes in and they're open to it, they're ready, than someone who's like, fighting it, because they don't understand. If you want someone to come and speak to you from the other side, you got to be open to it. You can't fight it. You can't, so, but yeah, I agree with that, because there's so many different places. Anywhere there's an Indian burial mound, you feel that energy. Yes. You hear the stories. We heard drums, we heard, chanting. And anywhere you go like that. I had the good fortune years ago when I was in the military and I was up in New Jersey. We went to, I think it was Boston. I want to say it was Boston. Well, wherever Edgar Allan Poe was buried. We went to his grave, and it was the most interesting thing, because you knew exactly where it was at. There weren't signs or anything. But if you were looking, you were drawn right to it. And there was an energy there. It was the coolest thing in the world, Ben Franklin's grave, everyone kept throwing pennies on there.
Why?
getting this vibe. And next thing I know, I hear this voice saying, I wish they'd stop putting damn pennies out. And I'm looking around like, is this one, and it was, I believe it was the energy or an imprint of Benjamin Franklin.
That is so cool. So we're talking about like when you're open to something or expecting something to happen or to see something in particular, like you are drawing that energy towards you. Point in case right here. So it was a few years ago. I was watching, it was like 100 creepiest videos caught on tape or something like that, And I haven't watched that stuff in a long time. I used to watch that stuff a lot when I was a little kid, but as I got older and I started doing what we do and really started to experience stuff without the intention of it being spooky, but it was, I was like, I'm good. I'll just deal with this stuff here. So I haven't watched that stuff in a long time. So when I did, I was like watching it all day just as something to get rid of the mundaneness of like the laundry that I was folding all day, with 5 of us in the house. So it was an all day task. So basically went through the day, everything was cool. I had cameras around the house because at the time we had a little 14-year-old boy who liked to get into our stuff.
To be a 14-year-old boy.
To be a 14-year-old boy. And so we had one in our bedroom too. And so, come time, it's night, everyone's sleeping, get in bed, everything's normal. Don't feel creepy, don't feel weird, nothing like that. And I remember I was laying there and I lay like next to the wall and then Kenny lays on the other side, And Zeus, he sleeps in our bed with us. Like, get comfy or go lay this somewhere else or whatever. And I didn't feel him. And so I started feeling around the bed for him and there was nothing. So I opened up my eyes and I shit you not, I saw the bottom half of a little boy jumping up and down on my bed. And I was like, oh, oh, okay. So that's what's happening. Okay.
Yeah.
The crazy part is I wasn't scared, which when I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, that sounds pretty freaking scary.
Yeah.
Didn't feel scared, nothing like that. I just laid back down and was like, okay, this is weird. Why are you jumping on the edge of my bed? And why am I only seeing half of you? Well, it wasn't until a couple weeks later, I was watching this Gaia episode, and this woman, Sally Crow, was on there. And she was explaining her experience with Huda folk and how they are they're little people.
Right.
And then I was looking into Huda folk and then Celtic folklore and then Native American folklore as well. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so they were visiting me for some reason, jumping on the edge of my bed.
This is why I love doing what we do, because we are beacons to some of the energy, so we get a lot of this. I particularly like, when we went down with the group, we went to New Orleans and we stayed in what was originally a mansion, and then it was a hospital, and then it was a bordello, and then it was a morgue, and then it became a hotel. And I thought it was really neat how that one day we were all talking, and all of a sudden we all started realizing that night before, everyone, you could almost time it that something started up in the upper room and worked its way down. And everyone, almost like every 5-10 minutes, everyone was
watching Lily.
Yes.
Lily.
Yeah. And I think they had something going on, like something was in their room.
Mm-hmm. Those girls.
Yeah. A lot of people said they saw like a shadow walking through, New Orleans, man, never disappoints. Never disappoints. I want to talk about, I have a book and it's called the Myrtle Plantation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about an event that happened when I went there. And I went with Adrian and we walked the whole thing. This is before it became, now I guess it's a bed and breakfast, and it was a little less than it is now. It was more, if you knew the family, you could come and stay, that type of thing. And Adrian kept saying, there's this woman I keep seeing looking in the window, and she described her, and the woman owned it. She goes, that's the old slave girl.
Oh.
And she told us a story about how this slave girl fell in love with the owner's son.
Oh.
And they were in love with each other, but of course the owner found out and forbid the son to see her and everything. And things happened, and eventually he went away, and I guess he died. And then the girl, of course, she passed away. And we heard this whole story. And about 3 a.m., we got woke up by this like blue light that was coming through. And both of us later, because we didn't know what was going on at the time, we literally were like out of our body and someone had taken over our body.
What?
Our body, yes. And, it was this different experience. And the next morning, we woke up and we didn't say anything at first, but Adrian's like, did you see that blue light? And I went, oh my God, yeah. And then immediately you're back and forth, boom, boom, boom. And it was so odd because missing pieces of that story were filled in that night. And it was as though the two lost lovers had come together one last time. And it was an amazing experience for both of us. And we kept going back, and we kept doing research and doing all of this stuff about it. And to this day, people say they'll see a blue light. They'll see the young girl. Sometimes they hear the gentleman walking the hallways.
It's just wild because, like, it's you and Adrian. Yeah. And then it's this boy and this girl.
And when you figure that the slave was probably a Louisiana French or Creole or Cajun, and him being the proper man's son, that type of thing. Well, that's where it ends. But but yeah, it was truly just an astonishing thing. It really was.
Yeah. I definitely would.
Yeah, it just I'm so blessed that I get to experience this stuff. When I was in Chicago, there was a riverboat that used to go up and down the Chicago River into Lake Michigan. And one holiday, they overloaded it. And there was some type of big celebration on the dock. Well, everyone went to that side of the boat, and it caused it to capsize and flip over.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, there were people trapped in it. A lot of people swam, they got away. And the rescue people wouldn't cut into it. They weren't allowed because they had to get the owner's permission.
What?
This was back in the day. They did, and by the
why?
And the owner wouldn't give permission. So finally, one of the captains says, "Well, screw you."
Right.
And they started chopping into the bottom of it and everything, and they saved some people. But if you go to Chicago, you'll see the sign that talks about it. How it, the big metal display sign there, and I never knew about this till several years back. I'm walking along the river, and it was about 6 a.m. And I just kept hearing these cries, and I'm like, what is going on? And we walked a little ways, and I saw the plaque, and I'm like, that's where it was. Boom,
That's crazy.
There was Chicago. I love because if you go by the Biograph Theater, if you go about 9:30 and you walk away from it, there's an alley that is still there, and you may hear some gunshots, and you may hear some type stuff.
Oh, that'd be scary.
Yeah, Dillinger was shot in that alley and killed in the alley, and people still feel him there.
It's so wild. So, I've heard about how it's not necessarily, not all the time, but but a lot of the time it's not necessarily the spirit that you're seeing.
Right.
It's the impression or the
residual energy.
Yeah, and it's just like on a repeat, like on a loop that just keeps playing over and over again.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because of the intensity of the emotion in that situation, and which is why it just keeps replaying over and over again. But I've also, like, when I was reading A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis, there was the explanation of, like, a whole bunch of people on the beach by the ocean, and when that huge wave was coming in, they were, like, still sitting there, staring at it, frozen and with fear.
Yeah.
But it's like just on repeat, like a part of their soul is fragmented and it's stuck in that place.
Absolutely. It's that moment of not knowing what to do. You just freeze up. Yes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Another thing, I think, when you go to the places that have the greatest hauntings, it's because they've become legend, lore, mythology.
Right.
You know, so it's almost like that energy is trapped there just by nature of this is what, you know, people going to see.
Right.
And they want to see it, and it's almost, they're not stuck there. I don't think any spirit is ever stuck. I think we have a choice. We can stay or we can go.
Right.
But in this case, it's almost like they're like, hey, as long as people are coming, I'm still alive.
Well, right.
You know?
And so, like, with the soul realignment sessions that I do, right? You could have, like, different soul attachments, which sounds scary, but it's really not at all. But in there, you could have disruptive spirits.
Yes.
And they stay in a place because for whatever personal reason that they're staying there, but they get energy from the place. So if people are coming to a place to experience this haunting or, you know, whatever, well, then they're getting energy from that. So it allows them to stay there.
It keeps them reinforced there. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
So wild. Just that whole thing.
I think for me, this really isn't a ghost story as much as it's more of a supernatural thing. When I was 9 years old, I had blood poisoning and I was dying. And I remember being in the hospital. My mom and dad were over at the end of the room. They're talking to the doctors. And all of a sudden, this woman showed up. And she came over to the bed. She put her hand on my chest and she started talking to me, telling me not to worry. Everything was going to be okay. And next thing I knew, I'm standing by the bed, but my body's there. And we had a conversation. This is actually my book, In This Shadows Darkly Lit. And we had a conversation. And all of a sudden, I started hearing all the noises and stuff. And I was back in my body. But the interesting thing is that it was like I was out of my body. It felt like it was an hour. And I'm watching my mom and dad. And I remember the one thing I said to this spirit, who ended up being Azrael, who was beautiful old farmhouse type, you know, it was great. I couldn't go in. I literally could not walk in that house. I stepped in, I was getting nauseous, I had to back away. Everyone else was fine, so it wasn't like a gas leak or anything.
Right.
And we ended up passing on it, and I'm glad we did, because apparently the foundation fell or something happened to it. But trying to find a house in a town this old was so bizarre, because we go and finally the real estate agent looked at me and she goes, before we go in, do you feel anything? You know, I'm like, I'm good. Let's check it out, you know. But, you know, hauntings aren't, you could have someone who passed away a year ago, and if they want to stay, then they're haunting, they're staying there, you know.
Right. I feel like So if somebody dies super sudden and they are confused, or if before they pass, there's just a lot of heavy negative emotions, sadness, anger, jealousy, rage, whatever, or if there's like a traumatic situation or something, or even like addictions. People that have addictions, if they are still stuck in those lower density, like lower frequency emotions when they pass, I feel like you always have a choice. You could like learn how to work through that even as a spirit and move on to the light and, go back home, so to speak. Or a lot of them, like that's why they're here, right? To like occupy the space. And some, like, even when you're in the physical, it's hard to work through addiction. It's hard to work through heavy negative emotions, things like that. So, when you don't have a physical body anymore, it's kind of like, because you still have free will, you have the choice. Do you still want to feel this way? Are you still stuck in this? Or you want to work through it and, go home? Yeah.
I think death is a human concept. That's why I like our office. Most people don't realize they put things off. Like they'll wake up, they'll see something, they think, "Oh, I'm just dreaming." That to me is the worst thing, because we've created this thing to where you can be seeing this, but you want to rationalize it.
Oh yeah, everything's through a filter.
And then, because I've had people say, I've never seen a ghost in my life. You know what? Honestly, I believe that every person alive, at one way, shape, form, or another, has seen a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Some, you may not even realize it. Great story. Years and years ago, I was running late. I had to get back to Fort Polk, and I went down the Mississippi Highway, which is a straight shoot. And my little Opel GT was just cutting, boom, boom, and all of a sudden it just died and stopped. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm getting out. I pop the hood. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And all of a sudden I hear that, "You need help?" And I went, yeah. This guy, long hair, a little bit of beard, young guy. He goes, "Well, let me see what I can do." He goes, "Go and try and start it." I went in and he went, did something. He goes, "Now try it." He goes, "You got about an hour. You need to find some place and put a gas filter." And he showed me the gas filter. He said, "There you go." He said, "Your gas filter was bad." He said, "I put a pin cap in there and it will run." And it was. So, I get out and I lower the hood and I turn to say thank you, and he's gone. No car. It was a straight way. There was nowhere for him to hide.
I love these.
To this day, I say that either Jesus Christ himself came down and fixed my car, or that was one heck of an angel. But to this day, I will tell you, that was not a human being.
That's amazing, and I love that. Especially like the whole, being on an isolated road in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a Mississippi, what they called, I don't know what they call it now, but it was the Mississippi Highway all the way along the Mississippi, shooting down Mississippi to cut over so I could get into Louisiana. And
You know what so I heard before, the last time that me and my boys went to Tennessee, not this last time by myself, but the time before that, we were looking up stuff about the Appalachian Trail. It's me and my boys, we love spooky stuff, and turns out there's so many creepy things. I will never go there by myself. But this one girl, she was like, she lives on the Appalachian Mountains, like kind of on the outskirts, not in the hollers, thank goodness. But she was like, I wanted to know, like, what's up with the Appalachian Mountains? Why are they so heavy with, like, vortexes, people going into different dimensions on accident, the skinwalkers, all of these different things. So she's like, there's this website, I think it's called like dinosaurs.org or something like that, where you can put a pinpoint anywhere in the world. She put in her address, and it will tell you what the Earth looked like, 1,000 years ago, 2,000, blah, 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 going all the way back. And the Appalachian Mountains have been there since as far back as they could possibly determine. But like when it was, what is that? When all of the world was like all together in one Pangea? Is that it?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. The Appalachian Mountains have been there forever.
Yeah.
So like imagine how ancient they are. How many different things have lived there.
And they were probably even higher.
Yeah.
Because everything kind of been shifted. I want to say the German. You had old spiritual beliefs, long things they kept long before the church started, and rituals.
Mm-hmm.
You look and where was it? I have it somewhere. I should find it. I have a book on Appalachian mythology. What is it? It's myth, legend, and lore.
Ooh.
And it tells you about things they would do, poultices they would make, ceremonies they would do that were not in accordance to the Baptist church or the Pentecost and that people go to church, but when it came down to something, they would do these ceremonies or these little rituals. And, that's old energy. And they brought it with them. Then you think about the fact that there was a lot of Native Americans there.
Right.
I mean, and it was a high point, so that's a good place to be.
Yeah. So wild. So this is not my story. It was a story that some women on TikTok, she was explaining, and it like chilled me to the bone when I was listening to this. Okay. So there's this woman, she is an at-home like nurse care person, right? And so she would go and visit these people who needed help. And she lived in, she either lived in Tennessee or Virginia, I can't remember, but it was like on the outskirts of the Appalachian Mountains. So she would take care of the people that were back in the Appalachian Mountains where they didn't have internet and like all these different things. So she's like, I know past a certain point, like my GPS is not going to work. So I have this map and I am really good with landmarks. So she's like, I get off the main road that I usually go down. There's this like little dirt road. And she's like, you keep going straight for about, an hour. And then you reach this tiny little bridge. And then 20 minutes after that is this woman's house that she was going to, get set up and take care of and, all these things. First time going there. So she remembers the landmarks. She's driving there. It was like early afternoon, maybe like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And when she gets there, she pulls up. The house is like in the back. The driveway ends probably like half of a football field away.
Yeah.
And like she pulls up next to this like barn shed thing. And when she pulls up, she said there was a bunch of old cars all in the front of the house where she would park. And when she got out, there was this old man, super skinny, white dude, big long white beard, overalls, no t-shirt underneath. He's working on a car.
Yeah.
And when she gets out and she walks past him, he just kind of looks at her. And she's like, just waves.
Yeah.
And she keeps walking to the house. Well, when she gets to the house, she meets the old woman. She's super sweet. And she's asking her all of these normal intake questions. What medications do you take? How often would you need me here? Da, 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 da. Do you live alone? And she's like, yeah, I live alone. And she's like, okay, so do you have like neighbors close by? She's like, no, closest neighbors like, a couple miles away. She's like, okay, so when I pulled up, there's multiple cars out front, and there was an old man working on a vehicle. And the old lady, she's like, it was out there? And she looks at her like, what do you mean it? The old woman doesn't answer her. She's like, I'm going to make you a sandwich. You need to go. And she's like, what? Like, I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? She's like, no, I'm making you a sandwich. It's going to storm. And once it storms, you're not going to be able to leave.
Yeah.
You need to go. I'm getting chills all over my legs right now. So she goes into the kitchen. This lady is like really confused. What happened? What's going on?
Yeah.
So the lady, she makes her a sandwich. She gives it to her. She's like, take this back to the car.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Get out. And she's like, all right. So as she leaves the house and she's walking out, it was like a really beautiful day. All of a sudden, it's dark outside.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what the hell happened. She's like, I'm holding on to this sandwich. I'm confused. I have the papers in my other hand. I'm walking straight to the car, and it's, like a half a football field away. And she's like, and all of a sudden I hear jeans like this behind me, like someone was walking behind me. She's like, something inside of me was saying, do not look back. Don't acknowledge it. Don't look back. Get the fuck in your car.
And go.
Right? So she's like, I got in the car. I threw the sandwich in the passenger seat. I started driving away. And she's like, and I know that bridge was straight down the road about 20 minutes. She's like, I was driving for an hour in my car, dark, didn't know where I was. No, I didn't turn anywhere. I don't know what happened. She's like, all of a sudden I come across this covered bridge. It was different. It was not the bridge that I crossed before. And when I went under it, like a tunnel, when I came out the other side, it was light outside. And then the road I was looking for was right there.
Isn't that something?
Oh my gosh. She's like, I never went back. Like, what?
That's when you like fend for yourself, old lady.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, you would think like either her family had to own that farm or that property for like generations, which is why she didn't leave, or she's like stuck there.
I was going to say maybe she didn't exist. We can literally encounter people as though they're real. I've had that happen, and then go to inquire about someone. Oh, they died 5 years ago. I just talked to them.
Right.
And it happens. People hear about someone passed away and they're like, I could have sworn I talked to them about a month ago. They probably did.
Mm-hmm.
It's the what is the term? The rules of reality do not apply to the spiritual world.
Well, and like time is not linear.
There you go.
So that's why like if you think about our universe, our world in terms of frequency vibration, like how some people, a new version of MetaQuest remote on your desktop is available.
We're still recording. I'm just like, what's that? Anyway.
How some people, I've heard stories about people like going on nature walks and then all of a sudden like running into an animal like that's prehistoric, like a saber-toothed tiger or something, but it's like their paws are underground because the ground was like lower.
It was different, yeah.
Yeah, it was
time anomaly.
Terrain, exactly. But like, or time slips, things like that. I don't know what would cause you to sync up with, like, become a vibrational match to that certain place or that particular animal or whatever.
I think you have. There was a show years ago, and I can't remember what it was called. It was about these people who could travel through time.
Okay.
But they had to wait for a certain time, a certain moment, and they'd have to step into like a bubble, and that would shift them. You know, I wish I could remember what it was. They did another thing a few years back too. Jerry O'Connell was in it. But this was years ago where they would step it, like when it was time, they'd have to step it. The bubble would show and they'd step into it and then they'd come into another time. And what I liked about this is at one point they found themselves, but it was different times, like they were younger selves, I think. And it was just, I believe that's possible.
Oh, for sure.
I think if a vibrational, if it's just at the right combination of energy, I think that can happen.
Well, okay, so just like a lot of times because of, I feel like because of Hollywood and because of the TV shows and the movies that we watch, we expect it to be something that we experience outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it is. But other times it's like to go back in time, it's in the mind.
Yeah.
Right? Just like past life regression, or like when you're sleeping or, you know, reliving a memory or whatever, you are affecting that time period if you are like constantly reliving that experience in your mind over and over again because you're creating a portal way to that time.
Yes.
Which is a lot of times why I feel like people experience deja vu.
I think that is one of the main cores of deja vu. I think sometimes you have an out-of-body experience and you go forward, mm-hmm. and then you catch up to it. And you're like, didn't this already happen?
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure it out. Or the reverse of something, you're like, I know exactly what's going to happen here. I've already been through this, you know? So just a thought. I don't know on that one. So
it's, I feel like it's wild, and it's because, like, who knows if we'll ever fully understand all, like, any of this, but it's really cool that on a scientific level of like quantum physics, we're catching up to all of these things and trying to make sense of it all in a scientific, logical way, you know?
There's a quantum theory of time. It all existed once.
Mm-hmm.
You can have flashes, like you said, flashes of something, and it's so real, and it could be for that quick moment. And what I love is, in this reality, it could have been a blink of an eye. But when you go through it, it's like you're there again. You're living it. You could be there an hour and then come back and it's second past. You know? So with the whole theme of like Samhain, Samhain, Halloween, with the death of the summer going into winter, do you feel like that theme of like a death is what makes the veil thinner for us to connect to the other side? One of the reasons I wish more people come in between Halloween and Christmas is because the energy is so open. It is open. Yeah. It's a time of remembering people who have passed. It's a time of, the harvest. Another year has passed, and we think about everyone who's come and gone, and then we move into all these things. Like I believe that Charles Dickens was right. I think the most haunted time of the year is Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. The whole Scrooge thing.
Yeah,
I do, but I also know that All Hallows Eve and Halloween, more spirits walk the earth than normal, and they begin. It's already begun. Mm-hmm. The parade to earth, because this is an opening. Like you said, the veil is thinner. They can come and they can visit. They can speak to people. They can see, hey, how are the people I left behind? Yeah. That type of thing. So yeah, I agree with that. I agree that the veil is much thinner.
That's amazing. So, and like, as I think about it, I don't know, like a lot of the experiences that I've had, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them have been around this time. I remember the first time that I had seen a physical full body apparition of someone who was not there, but was there. Christopher was only a few months old. I think he had to have been like 6 months old or something like that. And we were living over at Christopher's dad's parents' house. And it's this little house in Warren. and everybody was gone except for me, Chris, and Christopher. And we decided to have like a movie night with me and him. You know,
Yeah.
we're new parents, been super busy, finally get a chance to hang out together. Let's watch a movie in the living room. So I put Christopher down in the bedroom, and the layout of the place goes like this. Like the living room is over here on the right, towards like the bottom right, there's a tiny hallway that's horizontal to the living room, and right across the hallway was our bedroom. So we're sitting on the couch. Christopher starts crying. So I get up, I go make him a bottle, I go into the bedroom, and the only light that was on was the hall light. So if anyone were to like stand anywhere outside of the bedroom, that would just be like a silhouette of that.
Right.
So Chris is sitting on the couch. No one else is home. I'm leaning over, I'm feeding Christopher, and all of a sudden Chris comes and walks to the door, and he's standing in the doorway, and I'm talking to him. I'm having a conversation. You know, he wasn't saying anything back to me, but I was just talking. Oh, how's the movie? Oh, what happened? Oh, Christopher, you know, this and that. And then I'm like in the middle of a sentence, and I look over, and he's gone. And I was irritated because I'm like, no, I was just talking to you. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So Christopher gets done feeding. He goes back to sleep. I go out to the living room where Chris is, and I'm like, dude, I was just talking to you. Like, that was rude. Why'd you just walk away from me? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you were just standing in the doorway. I was just talking to you. He was like, no, I wasn't. I thought you were talking to Christopher.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit. Well, in that same house, on numerous occasions, like I remember it was just me, Chris, and Christopher in the house. I was washing the dishes. Chris was in the living room. Christopher, still a baby, he was sleeping or something. And Chris's stepdad, Will, had just bought this brand new, beautiful camera. Came in really nice. I was doing the dishes, and I hear something on the floor behind me, and I look, and his camera is laying on the floor.
Yeah.
And I like put the dishes down. I go run over to Chris, and I'm like, "Did you just throw your stepdad's camera?" He's like, "Are you kidding me? He would kill me." No. And I'm like, "It's on the floor. Like it was over like 10 feet away on the table, and it's on the floor now." And then another time, Chris used to ride dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And you know, like the number plates that sit on the back of the dirt bike?
Right.
I was cleaning out his room when I was pregnant before we moved into that room. And his dirt bike plate was over on the other side of the wall by the window. I was over by the hallway, and I was talking to Renee, his mom. And someone threw that dirt bike plate, and it landed at my feet.
Mm.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind that like energetic beings, whether it be ghosts or whatever, have the ability to move physical objects.
And the interesting thing with that is, depending on how long they've been there, is like if someone just passed and they haven't crossed over, gone through the veil to learn how to exist as the new them, if they just passed, they could do something like, and that's it. You won't hear another thing. They could flip a card. They could push a book over. Once they go through and they learn how to exist, they can come back and they can start throwing books out of your shelves. They can move chairs on you because they learn. It's like, it's like learning to drive. You didn't immediately know how to drive, playing the piano or anything like that. But once you learn it, you begin to master it. You become more powerful at it.
Yeah.
So I got a story I want to tell. I don't know how much time we have. Again, New Orleans. Adrian was always promoting me to people. And she had two friends, and they were having something weird go on in their apartment. And so they were going to be gone for the weekend. So her and I stayed in the apartment. I knew nothing about this building, its history or anything. So everything's pretty good. We're enjoying it. It's a nice apartment. It's cool. And then they left lots of goodies. So we go to bed. And about 2 a.m., I woke up and I'm like, God, the neighbors here are rude. Someone was at a typewriter. way back in the day. Just showed how old I am. Someone's at a and I'm like, man, and there was a smell. It was like cigar, but pipe tobacco, And I'm like, oh God, how do these guys live here next to this neighbor? And I'm thinking about it. So I went back to sleep, and about an hour and a half later, I wake up and I hear this, and I'm like, good, choke on it. I was Duane that Tennessee Williams lived in when he started writing a lot of his plays, bits and pieces. The play I'm interested in doing, Vauqueré, is that's one of my favorite stories because he's one of my favorite playwrights, author of any kind. But yeah. Well, yeah. But I have stayed across the street at Hotel St. Pierre, and I've always asked for that corner room because it's right across from it. Mm-hmm. And the last time I stayed there, I went on my 65th birthday. I went by myself. I'm in this room, and I couldn't sleep, and I woke up, and I knew no one was in there because the building was for sale. But I could see what looked like a candle moving from room to room. And I sat and I watched it. Finally, I grabbed a cup of coffee. I went out and I sat on the balcony and I watched thinking, well, maybe someone's in there, And I'm watching and all of a sudden it disappears and then lights up on the top floor again. I'm like
a repetitive, like a loop.
Just one time it was like he was walking around to check everything and then he went back up to his room.
That's so wild.
It was an old boarding house when he lived there. So, but yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. And every time I go, if it's just me, I'll stay at Hotel St. Pierre and ask for that room.
Yes.
Just because of the experience of knowing he's still there, at least part of the time. He may be in New York too. So.
And that's amazing. So like with the whole New Orleans thing, we all had amazing experiences. Well, I'm so glad that you booked that house, right? I would totally go back there. My experience with one of the girls that passed away there, Jacqueline.
Yeah. Jacqueline. Yeah, Jacqueline.
It's so funny because, we all walked in, everyone's wandering around the house. I was downstairs in the living room. I had, 2 big giant bags that I'm carrying on each arm. And I go to open the one door that was in the main living room that doesn't lead to anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm, going to twist the knob, and I hear in my mind, not that one, miss. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there, and I, put the door back, and I'm just looking around, and then I hear up the stairs and to the left. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just going to do that. Tromping up the stairs, and I turn left, and there's a bedroom there, and you were standing in there.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, here's your room. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Put my stuff down. I'm like, this is going to be a really interesting stay. So thank goodness nothing happened at night because I would not have taken that very well. I would have been running to your room. I
love, what was it, the third night when the host came in and everyone was there. And I'm like, hey, could you tell them the history of the house? No. And I love and we're in the family room, the gathering room. And I had fun with that.
Yeah. The one day that I went walking around all day by myself.
Yeah.
And I came back to the house because we were going to go out for karaoke later.
Right.
Let me just sit on the bed. I got some food. My tacos. And I'm like, let me just watch some TV and veg out for a little bit before we go. Walk around even more. Like, I walk so much that my soles of my shoes were...
You can do it, and you don't realize you're walking that much.
It was incredible. So, I like the best fucking time. So I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm just have my tacos, and I'm trying to find something on Netflix, and all of a sudden, like, it, you know how it shows, like, the different rows of the TV shows and movies?
Yeah.
It just kept scrolling past, like, fast. And I'm not pressing any buttons, and I'm like... check to make sure each remote is with their TV.
Yeah.
But every time that we came back to the house, even after switching, it's, oh, this one's yours, this one's mine. Boom. Everybody left. Remotes are switched. Like, no, none of you guys are watching TV.
Yeah.
Go outside.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was amazing. I love that. I love that. Anything else? Or do you think this is enough for this show?
I think that's enough for this
Cool.
show. This was super exciting.
I like this. We got to do this more often.
Absolutely.
And to each and everyone who's watching, thank you. You know, we care. We love you. Brightest blessings.
We love you guys and hope you have the best Halloween ever. And
absolutely.
Our special is so
We are still doing a special for readings only. We are doing a special. It's $45 cash, $50 credit, and it's till the 31st. So you got, what is that, about 10 days left to do it?
Yep.
And I got to tell you, this is one of the highest energy times ever. So if you're going to do it, now's a good time to do it. Give us a call, give us a text.
Absolutely. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's fun, and we're going to do this. We're going to be doing this more.
I think we should. I like it. I like it a lot.
I feel like we always say that.
Yeah. We'll start doing it more.
Life is lazy.
That's right.
Thank you so much, my friends, for sharing your time, space, and attention. If you like what you heard, please feel free to share with your friends, like, subscribe, comment, and leave a review. As always, I offer Akashic readings, tarot readings, energy readings, Reiki sessions, and QHHT sessions. If you're interested in booking a session with me, either online or in person, please feel free to visit my website, lemonsageandlavender.com. The energy exchange of your time and attention mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, I root myself in wonder. I open myself to bloom. I trust the journey of thought. Now get out there and blossom, my friend.